Hot take. Most brand problems aren't design problems.
They're strategy problems dressed up in pretty colors.
If you're feeling stuck or unsure about your brand, you're in the right place.
And now, let's talk branding.
Which comes first, the product, the brand, or the trend?
Is there really an answer? Let's dive in and discuss. Products and services are created to meet the needs of consumers, right? So, basic needs, we could reference Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Wants are more so inspired by culture or social interactions, influences, etc. I think for me, the product is built by a brand, but do you need a brand first to build and deliver the product? Or could a product inspire the development of a brand? It's a bit of a chicken or the egg kind of situation. Would you agree with that, Jamie?
Well, I would say I'm leaning right now towards the product coming first, and then you build the brand around that. And actually, for our listeners, when we're talking about product, that could also very well apply to services too. If you're a service based business provider, the thing that you offer, does the offer come first or does your brand come first? And then you use the offers to supplement and build out the brand. That is what we're trying to figure out today. At this point in our conversation, I'm kind of leaning towards the product, the offer, the service coming first, and then building everything around that,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah. So we have kind of been discussing this just in talking about things that we want to have conversations around on this podcast. And I forget, how did we even come upon this? Because to be honest, I'm drawing a blank.
It's been a while. This subject, we've been talking amongst ourselves for quite a while now. And we figured at some point we were going to be turning this conversation into a podcast episode. But I do think it came about where there was a few different stories in the news, or at least articles and different things that we had individually seen. And it was this brand versus product type experience. So we were like, well, this would be really interesting to dissect. So I
Yeah,
think that's how it came up. And finally, we have enough examples where we thought we should do something
we
and make
do.
this a conversation.
Yeah. So to kind of help me prepare for the conversation, I just was digging around online and looking up, just some research and some different articles. So to kind of summarize this, I basically wanted to share a couple of quotes that I found online, just from some different like digital resources, a couple of magazines. So this is interesting to me. The product comes first in creation, but the brand comes first in the customer's mind. So I really love that because we are product driven, right? It is what we want now and how we're going to use it and what problem is this product or this service going to solve right here, right now, right? Like we want instant gratification, instant taking care of it. But how often do we trust the product if we don't know the brand that it's coming
Good
from?
question.
If we don't trust
Good
the
question.
brand. So the brand does create, it has longevity, it has loyalty around it, right? Like we all have brands that we love, we support, we follow, no matter what kind of products they put out. But on the flip side, if there is a specific product that we're interested in or is maybe like going viral at the time or everyone's kind of about, doesn't matter what brand is putting it out if the focus is just on the product. So again,
Mhm.
right? Is it two things can be true? Like the product does come first, but are we buying the product if we don't love the brand that is designing the product?
Mhm. Well, to take it a step further, Jesse, when we're talking about products too, and to piggyback on what you were saying, maybe digging deeper and looking at what need does it fulfill or what solution does that product provide, right? To answer the question of is it the specific brand of product or is it the product itself that suffices for a consumer? I don't know because that particular solution, is it a good solution, the product itself, or is it that a specific product by a specific brand offers the best solution to the problem that we
Hmm.
as a consumer have?
Yeah.
That would be maybe just an extra, I don't know if it's an argument or maybe a point to consider.
Hmm.
And I don't know which way this argument is
Yeah.
going, but
Yeah.
that could help get to an answer by considering the specific solution and problem that that product
Hmm.
or service would be
Hmm.
potentially addressing.
So I also found this little tidbit to elaborate on that a little bit more. A great product solves a problem, but a strong brand builds trust and long term value. So I think they can go hand in hand and help each other out because maybe someone's first experience or introduction to a brand is a specific product that the brand
Mhm.
puts out, and then they love it, they enjoy it, it solves what they need. They're more willing to come back to that brand and maybe buy other products that the brand puts out because they've had a good first experience with it. And sometimes that first experience is literally just that first product that they buy from them, right? There are plenty of brands we've never heard about or maybe startups that are new, but they're putting out a specific product. So we go ahead and try it. A lot of times too, because other people are doing it, right? Monkey see, monkey do. We want to have and do what everyone else is doing. That's human nature. So maybe we've not heard of the brand, but we use that product for the first time, enjoy it, have a good experience, come back to the brand and want more from them. So they kind of do a service, to each other. I also pulled this information here. The main difference between a product and a brand is the product is an item being sold, while the brand is the overall identity of the product and the promise made to the consumer. Products are made by companies. They meet the needs of the customer by supplying a desired item or service. Brands are created through design, packaging, and marketing elements that give the product its identity. It is the brand that encourages consumers to purchase one product over another. So there's an argument, I think, leaning more towards they think the brand needs to come first because the brand is what builds the product and encourages consumers to buy it and, cultivates a following and loyalty and again, longevity, a brand that can maybe go on and be around for several decades. The point of this conversation is to play devil's advocate here. You can go back and forth.
Yeah.
It's very much like, do you have one without the other? Because also, if you're a brand, but you're not putting out any products or services, but you just like exist as an identity, well, no one cares or is even going to know who you are because they don't associate any products or services with you. So, as a
Mhm.
brand, you need the products and services, but as products and services, you need the brand to connect with people, to get them excited, to get them encouraged, to want to buy, and to keep coming back for other products and services down the road.
Jesse, you brought up some great points already. And I think it would probably be good for our listeners to dive into some of those examples that we referenced at the beginning of the episode of what even triggered this conversation in the first place. One example that I would like to lead with is Burger King. So, for those of you who may or may not be aware, Burger King had the king as a mascot for a really, really long time. And recently they fired the king.
Literally.
I'm, yeah,
They say that in the commercials.
yeah, yeah, which I thought I was like, "Wait, what?" Because in the real world, you can't just fire a king, right? Normally, with the monarchy and all that, that just doesn't happen. So, from a marketing perspective, I thought that was really interesting where they were like, "We fired the king." As part of this campaign, they're saying that the customer is the new king of Burger King. And why are they doing this? Well, their flagship product, the Whopper, apparently has gone downhill after fielding a lot of customer complaints for a long time. They decided it was time for them to listen to the customer's feedback. The CEO gave out a phone number for clients to be able to give them specific feedback about this product. They took that feedback, they revamped the Whopper and they brought it back. As part of this campaign, they're saying, "We hear you. We were going down the wrong path. We acknowledge that the product that you knew and loved, we did a disservice to, and it was terrible, but we heard you and we're bringing this product back and it's now better than ever thanks to you, the customer, for your feedback. Come back to Burger King, come back to the Whopper and enjoy this product that you really, really loved and come back to the Burger King brand because you, the customer, are now the king because we
Mhm.
fired the other one."
Mhm. Yeah. It's interesting too, just quickly. I don't know if you remember the tagline, well, like, what's it? "BK, have it your way." Like,
Have it
they
your way,
always
yes.
expressed, "It is about you
Yes.
and have it your way," but was it really when they were doing things that obviously customers didn't care for, and they were still, like, keeping this, king as, like, the top of the brand, so they weren't really practicing what they were
Mhm.
preaching. then I
Yeah.
think that's important to note. Now they really are letting people have it their way because they're bringing it back to the customer to make it about them, like you said.
Yeah, and so that was actually one example that started this conversation between the 2 of us, where is it the Burger King brand that was having the crisis? Is it the Whopper as a product having the crisis? Which one had the crisis first, or were they having a crisis together that prompted this revamping and this, marketing campaign saying, "We fired the king, customers knew king, and also we made the product better." Is it a brand problem? Was it a product problem? Was it both? And we don't have time today, but, we discussed amongst ourselves, like, well, did this all start because of the product, or was it a branding problem that started this problem with the customers and so on? But
Yeah.
just something
Yeah.
to think about. We've
Yeah.
got another
It's
example, Jesse, if you wanna share it.
totally a rabbit hole we can go down for sure. Okay, so I really love this brand just with the way it was built and brought into this world, but Poppy. So I also I I love this because I watched the Shark Tank episode where it had Allison Ellsworth, who had created it, on as a guest shark. I heard more of the story than what we're going to say here. She sold that brand for 1.9 billion. I believe it was to Pepsi. She created it with her husband. She said that she initially had a product, but she didn't have a brand. So once they fixed the branding, Poppy scaled well, extremely well within 5 years. I also remember from that conversation on Shark Tank, it used to be called like Mother something.
Yes.
The look and feel, the visual branding was like it was okay, but nothing that really stood out. And I say she was a guest on Shark Tank, but I believe she had pitched the product years before on Shark Tank as well. So it was kind of a full circle moment for her to come back as a judge. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it was through the resources and the support she got through Shark Tank that helped her rebrand. It was just neat to see them go as far as changing the name. I feel like that really changes the branding itself, but then the look and feel and figuring out who they were really targeting and just going all in on auditing the brand that she had, which we talk about in another episode, why it's important to do that, and fixing the areas that need fixed. And look what happened, a whole new name, a whole new vibe, a whole new color palette. She was even talking about the colors, the typography, everything. I was very much relating to like, look at how tweaking a visual brand completely changed the whole identity of that brand. And then to take it a step further and literally change the name, make it totally different. But at the core was still, all the work and time she had poured in to get it to that point. It was like the brand itself just sort of needed adjusted and essentially rebranded. And then once that happened, that product really took off. But to her point, it probably was hard to go, okay, I have this really great product, but how do I sell it and market it without branding that puts it out there and is attractive and that people come to know? I think you don't even have to drink Poppy to recognize it in stores and see the signage and the packaging because it's so well known now, but it wouldn't have had that same effect with the old branding. So A, that speaks to the power good branding in
Mhm.
general, but did that good branding really help promote that product? Would that product have lived on its own without the branding? But to her point, that was just the situation she found herself in and got help and guidance around, obviously, to make it better. She had the product, but she didn't have the brand.
Mhm. Mhm. So we have another example, and this is a story that I've never heard before until recently, and I found it to be so fascinating because it's another perspective on this product or the brand situation, and that is the story about Cancun, Mexico. And I just want to shout out Daniel Murray and the Marketing Millennials email list. If you are a marketer, get yourself on the Marketing Millennials email list. Every single week, I get a case study in my inbox, and Daniel and his team do such a great job with breaking down marketing trends and branding and whatnot into just really easy to understand analyses. It was one of his emails where he was talking about how Cancun came to be. So I'll give you the Cliff's Notes version, but essentially that part of Mexico back in I believe the 70s was very sparse. There were not many people that were inhabiting the area. Somebody had the question of what do we do to bring more people to our country to get those dollars to grow the economy and grow tourism. And then there was the idea of, well, we have this little area of land that sits on the Caribbean. There's nothing there. But what if, and there's this vision of what if we were able to tap into this audience of people who like to travel, who would love to come to a place on the Caribbean and, they want like a luxury travel experience, so on and so forth. They asking those questions. So basically, short story, what ends up happening is they do their research into American tourists, and Cancun is the result of that research. So it is an example of them actually creating a product, I would say. And then ultimately, I think that product turned into a brand, but they built something very specifically to appeal to a certain audience that was willing to travel, willing to go to Mexico. They wanted certain features and they were willing to spend a certain amount for it. So Cancun is actually the solution, I guess we could say, to this need for travel that this particular audience that they were trying to get had.
Mhm.
And I thought the story was absolutely fascinating because there's such a different way, I think, of approaching the creation of a product or service. Their problem in Mexico was we need more dollars. We need more income coming in. We need to grow our economy. And how do we do that? And then looking at what they had available, this spot of land, maybe it's a desirable location, maybe it wasn't at the time, but they built something so that it now is a coveted and desirable travel destination, not only for Americans, but now people around the world. So I thought that analysis presented by the marketing millennials in an email was absolutely fascinating. And
Mhm.
it's just another look at what comes first. Is it the
Mhm.
product? Is it the need? Is it the trend? What is it?
Mhm.
I don't know if you've answered that question yet, Jesse.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Well, and it's also an example of, like, the experiential marketing that we
Yes.
talked about on another podcast, like, you're
Hmm.
creating an actual in-person experience destination for people to come to, but it is a brand. Everyone just knows, like, "Oh, Cancun." I mean, that's a place, but it's also been a brand at this point for a really long time because it is a branded experience. So, here's another one that I think is really cool. It's from brandwell.com. It's about Band-Aids. So Band-Aid is the brand, but we also call the product a Band-Aid or a bandage, right? But you just say Band-Aid, like it's such a mindless automatic term.
Hmm.
So they said on their site, Band-Aids are merely sticking plasters with a type of gauze pad in the center. And yet we all know the word Band-Aid. Without the branding, a Band-Aid would just be another piece of tape and gauze to protect a wound. There are other
Kleenex.
products like this Kleenex. Yeah, we don't say we grab me a tissue, grab me a Kleenex. Like, how interesting do we refer to certain products by the actual brand name? So there
Yeah.
is such a enmeshment there and a total crossover between the product, the brand that makes it,
Hmm.
basically being called the same thing. And I don't think it's that Band-Aid or Kleenex necessarily tried, to be
Yeah.
like, call this a Kleenex. Like that was their brand name. But
Yes.
when when a brand also becomes super niche, like they're known for one type of product, not that they're not part of something bigger and they make other products at this point too, but when they're really associated with one product, then it's very easy for that product to just naturally pick up and be called the name of the actual brand, whether that was planned or not.
Right.
But that's also a testament to the longevity of the brand and the trust and the loyal following it has. Now that people have used Band-Aids for so long and Kleenexes for so long, can they put out other products anytime? And people have such a trust in that brand, they're gonna go buy those other products as well. But I think it's super interesting when a product and a brand are
Yeah.
intertwined like that.
Well, Jesse, I just had this thought of how for those particular products, the brand was created specifically for that product, though, if that makes sense. So the bandage, the tape with the gauze to help cover a wound, the name of the product was Band-Aid. And that is also the brand name. And so it makes sense that the brand name now is synonymous with what we call that type of product. And even another example is how many times do we all say, just Google it?
Mhm.
I Googled such and such today. This is what I found. Google is a brand name and it is also a product. It was the name originally of the internet browser that now we call Chrome, but it's a brand name that now has become synonymous with an action, I guess you could say. I think it probably speaks to the success of both, actually, the success of the product. And then because the product is successful, then the brand name of it becomes commonplace. It's a good thing, but from a brand perspective, maybe it's a bad thing too. If now your brand name is used to reference all similar types of products, right? Like all bandages, now people might just say it's a band-aid instead of bandage, general term. So it's that two sides of the same coin kind of analysis. Is it a good thing when your brand name becomes the household name, but then it becomes so commonplace that it just becomes a general reference where maybe people aren't buying Band-Aids by Johnson& and Johnson, but they're just buying generic bandages from whatever company
Mhm.
because they need Band-Aids. So they're
Mhm.
just gonna buy whatever instead of specifically
Right.
looking for the Band-Aid brand.
Right. I think that you, as a brand, know that you have really been successful and really made it when you become a verb,
Yeah. Yeah.
like Google.
Or a noun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like tissue.
Well, I Googled it. Apple is another one.
Mhm.
They came up, in general with products that did meet our needs. I don't think we even knew we
Did you
needed.
know you needed an iPad?
Did we really even need it? Did they just convince us that we needed it? And once everyone started having one, then you were like, "Well, I need one too." I think we can survive, without literally iPhones, iPads, the iPods, right? Creating these variations of things that existed, right? A phone
Mhm.
that you could take with you, but you could also access the internet on and social media on, and you could take pictures with. A little bit more advanced than the flip phone we started with, the iPod, taking the idea of a portable CD player or a Walkman like we had back in the day and it becoming a different way to walk around and listen to music and even like the earbuds, and the AirPods and just things we use right now. We're on Apple products, we're on Macs, like that's just a brand that has literally taken over the world, but there's an established brand that no matter what now, any product they put out people buy. It
Mm.
doesn't even matter what it is. It doesn't have to be the phone or laptop or iPad or anything. I think that Apple can just drop something 5 minutes from now and it sells out. People are gonna go buy it because there's that brand recognition and trust. Someone might not even care what the product is, but they're like, "Well, Apple puts it out, and I love and trust this brand. So I don't even have to know much about the product. I'm gonna go buy it because of the brand that's putting it out."
Well, I would argue then the reason why people love and trust the brand now is because originally they put out really great products, and
Mhm.
the products helped
Yeah.
build the brand into what it is now. So
Yeah.
then they
Totally.
are at a point where the brand then can carry a product. So Apple could be like, we have a surprise announcement tomorrow and it'll be available to buy as soon as we finish the announcement. And you will have a queue of hundreds of thousands of people who are like, oh, we don't care what it is. But if it's a new Apple product, we're there. And I know it's roughly going to cost me about $1,000, but I know that about Apple. That has proven to be true. And I am here for it. And that's what I find so fascinating thinking about products versus brands or even trends too. What is the thing that is leading the demand for the sales that are happening of these products or services?
This is a good segue into mentioning trends. So Apple would be the king of like putting out products that create trends. Like they drop a product, everyone wants it, and then you see everyone else having it, so you have to go buy it too.
Mhm.
That's definitely part of this general brand product service ecosystem because trends also drive sales, right? You might have someone who is not super familiar with a particular brand or even a particular product, but just the fact that everyone else is using it and buying it is reason enough for them to go buy it. Like this trend with protein. Have you noticed that? And it's always, I think, a lot of like health and wellness trends too, right? Certain diets, certain pills, certain powders, shakes, foods. Everyone kind of jumps on different bandwagons at different times. But funny enough, I bought something the other day at the grocery store and protein is just like spanning across the top of it in big letters. Protein's always been around. That might sound silly, but it's like everything is pushing this protein,
Mhm.
agenda now. So we see a rise in products with protein all over the packaging.
Mhm.
That product existed, but did putting protein on it drive the demand that maybe wasn't necessarily there before because everyone's on the protein bandwagon? We can say about like creatine as well. I get so many Instagram ads from celebrities, people that I follow. You probably see it too, posting like the gummies, the powder
Mhm.
you put in the drinks. But then I go to the website and I'm looking at it like, well, I'm getting older. Maybe this is something that I should start implementing into my diet if they are. I'm a human. I'm consuming the information the same way everyone else is. And it does get me thinking. But I wouldn't have even heard, to be honest, like I didn't even know what creatine was before I started looking into it because I started seeing the ads before
Mhm.
it became a trend, you know? So Starbucks and their protein drinks, Cheerios launching a cereal with pro- protein everywhere. Next week, is it going to be something else? But do those brands see an uptick in sales? I would imagine for sure, especially the protein based products, because that's what the trend is. And if next week it's something different, then they take their existing products and they adjust them and I think manipulate them in a way to then incorporate the newest trends. If it's people being all about iron or being all about zinc or calcium next week, are they going to put out a Cheerios? It's like iron Cheerios. Just using that silly example, is that what happens where the product then gets adjusted to fit the trend to drive the sales? Just to have another trend that comes through and then you have to readjust it. And is that sustainable or a smart strategy plan in the long run?
You just reminded me of the Got Milk
Mm,
campaigns of
I remember
the
those.
90s,
Yep.
1900s. Is
The
that
1900s.
is that what's happening? We now know, though, that was a marketing campaign to promote a product, to then create a demand for
Mhm,
it. We could argue that maybe demand and trends could be very similar, that like a trend is actually a form of demand that whether it starts because of a marketing campaign or whether it's more organic, maybe culturally a lot of people are just on a wellness kick. And so protein is a key component of wellness. Protein just happens to be what everyone is talking about. But calcium, drinking milk at the time, that was a way to get your calcium in. Was that a trend at the time? I was a kid, so I don't really remember what was happening, but was the trend getting more calcium at the time? Or I believe based on what I have seen, articles talking about those campaigns, I believe it really truly was just a marketing campaign
mhm,
by the dairy farmers. We're like, we
mhm,
need to sell more milk, so let's come up with this really creative campaign. And it was absolutely successful. It's just fascinating to me to go, okay, well, how did this all even come about? Did the consumer demand more milk from cows, or was it somebody telling us you should drink more milk from cows?
mhm,
And they made it really fun in
mhm.
order to stimulate the demand or stimulate the trend of drinking milk from cows.
I would be interested to go back and look at the statistics of that time of the uptick in all of the dairy brands, all of the milk brands.
Yeah.
Did their sales skyrocket no matter what brand it was because people were just about the physical, tangible product of milk in a jug or a carton? And did it matter what brand was selling the milk as long as someone was buying the milk?
Yeah.
I remember all of the celebrities like that had did the milk mustache and they were print ads in magazines. We were always reading magazines. They were commercials on TV. So, maybe a campaign that's like worth revisiting
Right.
or bringing back in the present day just because I totally remember it. It might have been kind of an elementary, middle school time for me, but I totally remember it. So, yeah, do trends create and drive the success of those products, and then it drives success back to the brand, and then can the brand put out more products that consumers will want or need, whether they know they want or need it? Then something circulates around and becomes a trend, and once it's a trend, well, then everyone's buying it, and they don't even know why sometimes. They're just buying it under social influence
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
cultural influence.
Or is it marketing
Mhm,
influence? And I think I guess to do this conversation justice today, I think we need to look at marketing and the role that marketing plays in building the brands of products and then also playing into the demand as we were just talking about. Because we know marketing influences consumer behavior. That is why it is a whole industry in and of itself. There are people who specialize in marketing. I have worked in marketing for a long time. It is a legitimate approach to creating brand awareness. We talked about that on the podcast before. It's critical in terms of creating a product to be sure that it's something that can be sold and marketed to the consumer. think about how many times that you were influenced. Jesse, you just talked about this. You're scrolling social media and you see an ad and you're like, oh, I never really thought about how I might need creatine. Tell me more. And
Uh-huh.
you go down the rabbit hole of whatever that particular product is. But I would argue that that was a marketing campaign that got your attention and gave you that product or the brand to focus on, and that it ignited your curiosity. So I don't think we should leave marketing out of the
Mhm.
conversation.
Oh, yeah, it's completely part of all of this, and it once again, branding and marketing, technically 2 different things. We covered that in another episode.
Mhm.
All of these things come full circle because they're all connected and all play a part in branding
Yeah.
and the importance of it for your business. But with marketing, you need branding elements to also create content and market with when you're putting together visuals and ads and videos and all kinds of tangible assets. You need brand assets to help create the marketing that you put out there. As a brand, you don't have anything to put out there without the product or service that you have. And then you can't put the product or the service or the brand out there at all without marketing. It all goes hand in hand, right? We're not
Mhm.
saying something literally has to come first or there is a right or wrong answer. I love the quote, multiple things can be true at once.
Absolutely.
Like we said, chicken or the egg, it might be a mystery, forever because again, it's not that there is a cut and dry black and white answer.
Mhm.
This conversation's been great though, because it gets me thinking, well, you can make the argument for the marketing, but then you need the branding, but then you have to have the brand that exists. Do you? Can the product come first and then the brand is built around the product? I don't know. It can go in multiple directions.
While we could probably have a generic, maybe consensus, I think I've got one formed in my mind and I will keep it to myself because I want everyone to think about this for themselves. Generally speaking, though, sometimes that doesn't apply 100% of the time. The takeaway that I would leave for our listeners today is while we might say in order to have a great brand, you want to start with a product and then you market it and then you create the demand. Hopefully down the line there's a trend that the product falls into, which then creates more brand awareness, so on and so forth. That could be generally how it might work. However, it's still important for you to think about your own offer, whether it's a product or a service or something else. Understand your product well, understand your audience well. Does what you have to offer meet a need that the audience knows that they have? If it does, then you use that to fully develop the product, fully develop the brand around it, and then the marketing campaign. But if you have a product that maybe is a nice to have, but what it solves for the customer is unclear, you've got to go back and rework that, in my opinion. I think the common thread amongst all of the product examples we talked about today was that these products that we know, maybe as household names now, or just as very successful products in and of themselves, they were very, very clear
Hmm.
about what exactly they did for the people who would be buying them. And when you can have a match between, as a consumer, this is what I need, and you have this product that has a great brand and probably a really great marketing campaign behind it, so you become aware of that product. When those two things come together, that's where we see the magic happening. I don't know if there's any other way to maybe synthesize what we talked about today, but that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. And I think there are a lot of brands that are built from products because a lot of times people come up with a product, they come up with the invention, they come up with the thing. This one just popped into my mind, Sarah Blakely Spanx. I don't
Mm,
think Sarah had the Spanx brand and then built the product from that. She created the product first, but she didn't even have a name for it till she did.
mhm.
And then that's another one. That's a product. Of course, then they have tons of other products as well too, but that initial upfront product she created and named became the brand name. So they also
Yeah,
became synonymous.
yeah.
Like, go buy some Spanx. Okay, that's the product, but it's also the brand name. So when you do create a product first, I think there's totally grounds for creating the branding then around it. But then you have to have the marketing to put it out into the world. So what comes first, the product, the brand, or the trend? I guess we will just let our listeners decide, Jamie. This has been a great conversation today. We are so thankful for everyone who is listening and enjoying our podcast. We will talk to you again soon.
Before you go, if something clicked for you today, please share this episode with one person who needs to hear it.
And while you're at it, follow us on Instagram or grab resources at talkbrandingtome.com.